haven't had Wolverine like news to talk about in a while, so I had to get my Wolverine jacket on for the occasion. This is crazy though. We might actually be getting some stuff for Marvel's Wolverine relatively soon. Now I know we're all recovering, we're still in mourning. Insomniac did officially announce at New York Comic-Con that we're not getting DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2. You know, they made the announcement that Spider-Man 2 is coming to PC in January, and then alongside that announcement in the PlayStation blog, they said there are no plans for additional story content to be added into the game. And there's been plenty of speculation rolling around in the community as to why this is the case. Why is it that we're not getting DLC for Spider-Man 2? What's going on there? And one of the things the community is speculating about as to one of the reasons why we're not going to be getting DLC for the game is that maybe the team has just diverted all resources. It's all hands on deck for Marvel's Wolverine to get that game out the door. Insomniac is a big studio. Insomniac has a ton of people working there, and when Wolverine was announced, it was announced alongside Marvel Spider-Man 2. And when it was announced since day one, it was confirmed that there's two different teams working on each game. So the team that worked on Spider-Man Miles Morales is now working on the Wolverine game. But we have been getting steady reports over these past couple of months and years since that announcement that there are people who are writing or doing things for Marvel Spider-Man 2 that have since transitioned to work on Wolverine. But now we've got rumors circulating from a known insider that we might be getting an update for Marvel's Wolverine relatively soon. And hey, if you're hyped for Wolverine, if you want to hear more about this game, if you want to see more about this game, I'm going to keep you guys up to date, all right? So if you'd like to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications, I appreciate it. If not, though, that's fine too. But okay, let's jump in here to the rumor. This is coming from Insider Gaming. They put up an article here saying we could be getting a new look at Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac before the end of the year. According to a claim by known insider Kurakasis, I've never heard of this, apologize if I'm mispronouncing it, Sony and Insomniac are, quote, gearing up to show fans more from Wolverine soon. Interesting. All right, and well, here is the official tweet from this insider. They said here, from my little digging, it looks like Sony is gearing up to show off some new stuff for Marvel's Wolverine. It's hard for me to determine when that'll happen, but I'm guessing it'll be this year, either the Game Awards or at some unannounced super secret event. And I think what I find most interesting about this and why there could be some validity to this rumor is because of the fact that this was talked about before we got that announcement that there's not going to be DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2. And that's actually one of the reasons why I didn't initially report on this news. Because for me, I was still kind of convinced, I was on the hardcore copium that DLC was going to happen for Spider-Man 2. I thought, you know, if there was one last hope for an announcement before I gave up all hope, it would have been at the Game Awards. And then New York Comic-Con rolled around and it turns out that there's not going to be DLC. So it just made me shift my eyes back over to this rumor. Now, at the same time, with any rumor, when we're talking about this stuff, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I don't want to question this insider. I don't know what their track record is. I don't know how many things they've gotten correct in the past or incorrect. There's a lot of people reporting on this news because, well, from their research, this insider has gotten things correct in the past. But at the same time, even if this insider knows things, let's say they've got sources, they've gotten things right, at the same time, we're dealing with a massive IP. And if there was one lesson we should learn after the whole DLC situation for Spider-Man 2 is that maybe there was a plan to do one thing at one point in terms of marketing, and then plans change. You got big wigs like Marvel and PlayStation involved, so many shifting parts constantly. So, you know, maybe Kurakasis here heard something and it's correct that Sony was gearing up to show something for Wolverine, but on a dime that could change and it means they're not going to show it for like another year. But if we look at this, right, it's saying that Sony is gearing up to show off some new stuff for Wolverine. Where could that be? Well, Sony, when it comes to Spider-Man and just their Marvel stuff specifically, has had a pretty decent relationship with Jeff Keighley. At Summer Game Fest last year, before Marvel Spider-Man 2 had released, that's when they announced the pre-orders going live. We got that splash page, that new artwork of Venom. Brian Horton was on stage talking to Jeff Keighley, asking you guys to hit the thumbs up button on this video. And so clearly, you know, what PlayStation is playing nice with Jeff Keighley. So the Game Awards is certainly a spot towards the end of this year where we might see an update for Marvel's Wolverine. And if it's not the Game Awards, I really have no idea where else they could slot a new reveal for Wolverine, unless PlayStation is planning their own state of play once again, this time dedicated to Marvel's Wolverine. But what I also find very interesting about this, I talked about this in a previous video. When we got that confirmation that we weren't getting DLC for Spider-Man 2, I was saying that that must mean again that all resources have been diverted to the Wolverine game, and that could also mean that that Wolverine game might come out as soon as next year. Insomniac has been firing on all cylinders. They've gotten so many games out since 2018. Spider-Man PS4, Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man 2, and the remaster for Spider-Man PS4 as well. That is 5 titles in the last 6 years. And yes, like I said at the top of the video, there is a completely different team working on Wolverine and have been working on it since that announcement back in 2021. As of next year, it'll have been 4 years since that announcement, so we're kind of coming up on the norm in terms of AAA development time. And Wolverine is just inherently a smaller game, I'd have to imagine, than something like Spider-Man. For Spider-Man 2 to have had a 5-year turnaround from the previous game while having 2 playable characters, a playable Venom, a bigger open world, new gameplay mechanics, a new story, all of that, for it to have still had that turnaround time of 5 years, I'd have to imagine that Wolverine is either going to be somewhere similar or maybe even shorter. A lot of rumors out there from people like Jeff Grubb have pointed to the fact that Wolverine might be a semi-open world rather than an open world, so in scale, it's going to be smaller. And it makes a lot of sense for Wolverine to be in like a semi-open world environment or just like in a linear environment rather than an open world. I mean, unless you're going to give the guy the motorcycle, I don't know how many options he could have for traversal. So putting him in a bit more of a condensed environment just works better for the character. But with a more condensed environment, with a smaller explorable area or areas, and then with linear missions, that could mean just in general, the scale, the scope of the game is smaller than something like Spider-Man, which has to have that open world setting. So there's definitely a chance that this rumor could be true, but again, take it all with a grain of salt. Nothing is official until it's official. And even if Kurakasa's here got the right information from a source that is legitimate, plans could change. Just once again, keep it locked right here on this channel. I'll make sure to keep you guys up to date on all things Wolverine related. I am incredibly excited for the game. I cannot wait to see what Insomniac has in store with the game. I hope it's rated M. I hope they go all out with the blood and everything. It's going to be awesome. I'm very, very excited. And who knows what it could lead to in terms of story. Are they going to introduce some other X-Men characters? Are we going to see some other people from that team? Maybe it's going to be like a post-credit tease or something. Could be really awesome. I just want to play as my boy Cyclops in a game one day. Okay, Cyclops, my favorite X-Men, all right? He's finally getting his flowers after X-Men 97. So I really, please, can we make Cyclops playable in an X-Men game in the future? But all right, with that said, let me now kick it to you guys. Sound off with the thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe the rumor? Do you think that there's going to be more shown for Wolverine soon? And if so, where do you think that's going to be? Or are you just taking this with a grain of salt, keeping those expectations low like you should, so then if something happens, you'll be surprised by it? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.